Hey, what's up y'all? This is William, the permaculture consultant, and today we're going to be planting the electroculture bed and then also the basically just the regular bed today. And we're going to be planting potatoes. Now I know that we're going to be kind of squeezing it in there. Like if it takes 80 days to get potatoes out of the deal after planting, then that's going to put me in about, November, I believe. So like mid-November is when I'm going to be able to harvest these potatoes. But we're going to try red potatoes on one half and we're going to try russet potatoes on the other half. And both beds, we're going to keep everything the same. Like the number of potatoes is going to be the same, the type of potatoes, even the brand of potatoes, which are just organic potatoes from Walmart. Because, sorry if you hear a tractor in the background, but can't find seed potatoes anywhere, which makes sense because it's going like end of summer going into fall. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dig a trench down the middle of this bed. This is the regular bed. And it's going to be about 6 inches deep. And then I'm going to put my potatoes, same number of potatoes in both beds. I'm going to put my potatoes at the bottom of that trench. I'm going to dig a trench down the middle of this as best as possible. I have all my electroculture antennas going down the middle of it. So we might go just to the side a little bit, or I can move the electroculture. That's what I'll do. I'll move the electroculture antennas just to the side a little bit and still dig my trench down the middle. And we'll do the same number of red potatoes, same number of russet potatoes on this one, and then dig a trench on both. And then I'm gonna cover the trench in some of that compost that you see over there underneath the blue tarp. And I know before we talked about putting down a ground cover and then planting something. Since I am running out on time, I'm gonna go ahead and plant the potatoes. And then as I see the shoots pop up above the ground, then I'll go ahead and get a ground cover established. One of the downsides of doing it earlier this year is that like in the spring, my spring potato harvest failed because I did the ground cover too early. It got too established and it kind of shaded out the potato shoots and stuff like that. So before my camera starts overheating from the Texas sun, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so I got my trenches dug in this electroculture bed and then also the one next to it. I won't be hilling these at all. I'm basically going to plant them about 6 inches deep and then covering everything with compost. Really, really good compost, the stuff I made here. From what I've understood, that these electroculture antennas need to be fairly close proximity to whatever it is you're going to be growing. I don't think they have much reach or range, but I'm gonna be planting these potatoes basically right next to these electrodes. And then I'm gonna mimic basically the same quantity, the same content. Oh, also this one, this wire, this antenna has one coming from the base and it reaches out this way. I'm gonna be putting the potatoes, if it'll cooperate, I'm gonna be putting the potatoes basically on top of this. And here, let's get it working here. There we go. I'm basically gonna be putting the potatoes in contact with, but preferably on top of that. And I'll do 3 near this one, I guess. That might make it a pain to harvest. I don't know yet, but I'm hoping if this stuff does work, I'm hoping that this design at least gives it a little bit more range. That is about halfway, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put another one in there. I'm gonna use basically the whole bag. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 potatoes on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and plant, those are the red potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and plant these russet potatoes on the other end of this bed. So this half will be russet until the center, and then the other half will be red. What did I do, 16 on the other one? I'll try to keep the number same as far as the red and the russet go as well. So I got 15 russet potatoes in this bed, and then I took one of the red potatoes out and I got 15 red potatoes in this bed, and I'm gonna replicate the same exact thing going down this one. And now I'm gonna fill up this wheelbarrow with compost, and I'm gonna go ahead and fill up the potatoes with this really awesome homemade compost. If you wanna learn how to make compost like this, then check out any of the compost playlists I have. I have a 2-ingredient compost playlist, and I have a 3-ingredient compost playlist. It's like the most important thing you can do for your garden. other than maybe planting a ground cover. This is the most beneficial thing you can do. It's going to feed, passively fertilize, it's going to retain moisture, it's going to build new soil. You're basically inoculating all of this good stuff with microbes, and then you're putting those microbes in high density and high quantities into your garden. And this, I believe, will have more of an effect on the potatoes than the electroculture itself. I know this works. I don't know if electroculture works, and that's what we're here to test. And this part right here goes into proper garden design. Make sure your laneways and your pathways and all that type of stuff are big enough to fit a wheelbarrow. That is a mistake I have made in the past, and believe me, it's a very, very frustrating mistake whenever you have laneways that are too small for a wheelbarrow. You might maximize your growing space, but you're also making it very difficult and annoying to just manage. So keep that in mind. I should also mention that this is the least efficient way to use your compost. Not saying that it's a bad way to use it, it's just the least efficient. It's the most common form that people use their compost, but it's also the least efficient. What I could do is do like extracts and teas, knock all the microbes off of these guys, off of the compost, and then add the old substrate back to the big compost pile, re-inoculate it, and it's basically like a never-ending cycle there. Alrighty, so now that I have the trenches filled with compost all the way up to near the top, I'm gonna go ahead and come through with this rake and just smooth everything over so that way I don't have a big old valley in the middle of my beds or anything. And yeah, it's gonna also give it a little bit more depth as well. So I'm just gonna smooth it all the way over. I'll get both sides of the bed, bring both sides towards the center. And after this, we're gonna go ahead and water everything in. Even, this is awesome environment for the potatoes by themselves. Like doing this method for potatoes is gonna yield awesome potatoes, hopefully, if everything goes right. So if the electroculture can make it even better, then I'm curious to see how much better. If it's worth the time, the effort, the investment of making these electroculture, or if the most important thing is actually just your soil food web, which I'm banking on that being the case. Like the soil food web is going to be way more, maybe, and this is a possibility as well, maybe the electroculture supercharges like the soil food web. I don't know. The more I dive into this, the more differing answers I get on this electroculture. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody truly understands what's going on, if it is going on. And I also see a lot of examples of people doing it and not yielding different results from just conventional agriculture and stuff. I mean, or the conventional way of which they would, you know, plant potatoes and stuff. Also, another thing that it might affect is the taste. I wonder if this will affect the taste of the potatoes. Like maybe it doesn't produce more taste or more potatoes, but maybe it produces like higher quality tasting potatoes. That's entirely a possibility as well. Either way, I'm looking forward to this experiment and looking forward to what happens 80 days later. And we're also going to document like, hey, which potatoes sprouted up sooner, all that type of stuff as well. So if you're not aware that this is going to be in a playlist and we're going to document everything that happens or doesn't happen within this system. There we go. All the potatoes are planted, they're covered up, and now I am watering. You can see that sprinkler right there in the middle. It's attached to a pump that I pump water out of the pond into. I pump water out of the pond into those two tanks over there that you can see. And from those two tanks, I attach that to a pump and it powers this little sprinkler head right here. And it's basically just gonna go, I just turned it on, so nothing is really that wet yet, except for myself. And it's basically gonna water both of these beds evenly, which is another important aspect, is making sure that they get even amounts of water. So now all we have to do is just wait. Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say they turn out basically the same. I think the soil food web is going to be the biggest factor in all of this, not necessarily the electroculture. I think the electroculture might help out a little bit, But if so, maybe just like very, very minor in comparison to the compost that I added. Now all we have to do is just wait for those potatoes to start shooting up. As soon as they do, then I'll let you guys know. And as soon as they do, we will also be putting in a ground cover so I can water less often over there. And hopefully we don't get any early frosts or anything like that this year, and I'm able to harvest the potatoes and get a full, better harvest than I did earlier this spring. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll keep you guys updated. It'll all be in the Electroculture playlist. Until next time, we'll see you.